All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Run with the Wind, episode 10. All right, Haiji.
Yeah.
He has a condition, or he's exhausted, or
you got a condition.
Something's not so good here.
He collapsed in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's not gonna die. Not gonna die.
He's not a cute girl, but he is definitely best girl. So that is a little bit concerning.
It is very concerning.
If this show ends with him in a wheelchair, so help me God. But
Yep.
okay, we did have some really good emotional progress, you know, with Kakeru seeing what it's like to, you know, watching them run, and they're not doing half-assed running at all.
Yeah,
and the power of cheering and all of that. It's good stuff.
Yep, being able to see it from the perspective of someone on the outside. Something that Haiji is very familiar with his recovery. Yeah. So, guys, really excited to see how this really intense, dramatic moment potentially shakes things up. Who in the house is potentially already aware of this?
Yeah.
You know, because that's very, very possible. And then how the group responds and who maybe steps up in the leader-like role after this. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Oh my God!
Well,
this
okay.
episode was just perfect. They're a family now.
Oh yeah, it was so good. Like, okay. You didn't need to be sold on this show, right? In some ways, I feel like I didn't really need to be sold on the show, but I don't have the same connection to running that you do, right? You know, and I was very much like, okay, yeah, I know this show is going to be great, right? It's going to be a ton of fun, wholesome, all that stuff.
It'll be, if anything, a follow-up on that Haikyuu energy.
Yeah, exactly, right. With some different flavors and ways of doing it, right?
Yeah.
This episode,
but you're in love with it. You're in love with it.
This episode, God damn it! Because there's I don't know. Maybe it was because it was going through like the all right. Let's go through the manga and comics and things like that. It was the acknowledgement of Kakeru, right? Because of some extreme external circumstances that were a forcing function, right? Which yes, but I mean, hey, I'm all for that, and those can really pack a punch in real life too, because then it's the why did I make it take until now, right?
Sure.
You know, it's the thing that finally makes you get outside of yourself and realize your own stubbornness and pride and whatnot. And okay, all right. Let's do this, right? And then they connect, right? And once they connect, then they're able to make all kinds of progress that they wouldn't have been able to otherwise, right?
Yep.
That's being a real leader, right?
Yeah.
That's like well done, Kakeru.
Truly.
Well done. Yeah. You know, the idea of like, yes, the whole thing of the treadmill and him running bothers you, and you know, you're aware of how he's not going fast enough and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, you go up to that room.
Take advantage of that time that you're already feeling like is getting wasted because you can't sleep or rest or whatever. Or
exactly,
focus.
Right.
Go up and address that and talk with him.
Yep. And hey, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to deal with the noise and the dust falling and all that stuff, right?
You're up there.
Because you're up there, right? Yeah. And hey, you might even get into a comic that you end up actually enjoying.
And learning some things insightfully based on actually observing how he moves. Which you hadn't done up until this point.
I had never thought about the whole idea of the way he had his arms. I thought that was just sort of like a comedic thing, or the way his back was hunched over.
The back hunched over thing, I definitely could tell was something that they needed to address based on the idea of him having it being a poor form thing. But I definitely did not just make the easy connection of, no, he does.
He's always doing this.
Reading his manga. So
of course. Man, I'm straightening out my back now because it's like, no, I totally know that feeling. Like one of the
gamer one is this.
You
jut your chin forward.
Yep.
Thus causing all the strain on your upper back.
You get those polished bits on your knuckles, you know, on your wrists.
Right, and then your lower back because you're hunched over.
The one that I would get a lot is that I actually can't tilt my head up very far. Or I can't tilt my neck up very far.
Like, what do you mean?
Like
this?
Like, my neck can't go past, like, straight up, basically. Like,
so, right here is about your extension?
Yep, that's it. So that's about... I can tilt my head up after that, but my neck doesn't go back any farther because I'm almost always kind of at a slope, right?
Oh, whoa, yeah.
And whether that's from like long days reading and things like that, or just the idea that I usually don't need to do this, you know. But
it might also just be in general that your computer desk setup situation is too low.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Basically.
Putting like something under the monitor, that way it's higher up. Yeah.
Right. Or just raise the monitor. Yeah, raising the monitor in general. But oh my gosh. So this is so brilliant because they did the whole montage thing to show that they're building a habit with Kakeru's character decision here to observe and help Prince in this way by talking at his speed, which is not just talking to him, but it involves observing him and also speaking his language. Thus, he actively seeks to engage him in understanding of the manga. So it's huge for Kakeru, but I love because
he didn't need to do that, right?
Well,
like I mean, it wouldn't have achieved the same results. No, I know, but like the whole thing, because the whole idea of trying to phrase things for the running within regards to manga and comics and things like that, that's something that is putting it in terms that are helpful for Prince, but that is also something that helps Kakeru directly get what he wants. Whereas in the case of the just saying, hey, do you have anything that I could read? That's purely connection.
It's purely connection. The thing what it does in the ends justify the means kind of thing is that Prince will respect the words coming out of his mouth more because he respects the thing that he does as not being a waste of time.
Right.
So when Prince goes and does his reading of things before he even changes or showers from coming home, and he's like, freshness is important, and Kakeru's just, huh? Like, isn't that what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I need to understand that, and the idea that he needs to understand Prince in order to be able to then truly help Prince gives him the insight. And as he was figuring out in the split second, we were figuring it out too. Oh shoot, his form is better because he's reading manga and he has to stand up while doing it.
How do you get him to do this? Put books in his hands.
So he'll treat them very carefully.
Right, he'll treat them very carefully. He'll cradle them, right? And then naturally the weight will cause it to swing, right?
Yep.
Like,
oh my God.
I love it.
So brilliant.
I love it. And then the whole thing of then Prince being like, oh wait, hold on, let me put my hair back.
Right.
Because since I'm always looking down, the bangs aren't a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking down anyways, right?
Forward.
But if I'm looking forward, then they get to be a problem.
Yep.
And
especially with the motion of them moving.
Oh yeah, the motion of them moving, and also you get sweaty. Like you don't want sweat to be like dripping down your face into your eyes or stuff like that, right? Get that stuff put back. You know, because he's not running fast enough where it just gets blown back just from him running. You know,
of course.
Right. But and then the part at the end where Kakeru is he's about to make a new record. He's about to
PB. Speed isn't everything.
God damn.
Character development. And it's happening at a time where it makes sense to be sudden because Haiji being gone leaves a gaping void where their whole dynamic just doesn't work as much anymore. I loved the idea that Kakeru was the one that they eventually stumbled on of the who will run practices. And when Kakeru is asked, and he's like, I don't mind it. But they rush around him excited because they respect his skill, his talent, his know-how, to where they're like, okay, tell us all the secrets. They
even when he's saying, I'm going to be brutal. Like I'm not
going to be kind. Or I'm not going to be like easy or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm going to be difficult. You know, this will.
I won't be gentle. That's what
I won't be gentle. Yeah. And they get excited, right?
Yeah.
You know,
that face. Like compilation thing of all of them sends Prince and Haiji just where Nico-chan's like and then
Musa's just like
Yuki's like and then the JoJo twins are just like yes. And Shindo, like really small Shindo at the bottom, just like yes this will be wonderful. But oh my God, even King's just like
God,
oh my God, they're so excited and so passionate, and it's just I love this. And then they did the thing that I was like, I just kind of noticed this in the OP, and he's doing it because Haiji's no longer around, and it's like, yeah, he is doing it because Haiji's not there, but he's now going to see the value of it. And I loved that when he finally bumped into Haiji, because Haiji, of course, had just gotten out the first story window.
Gone out the window. It's like, wow.
And it's like, yeah, I had a argument with Prince, and he's like, "Oh, you totally lost, didn't you?" He's quite adept at his. He's quite verbose in the way that he can describe his argument. But when Haiji kind of makes the moment of saying like, "Oh, that's your first time seeing his form being so bad.
Yeah,
I got a proper look for the first time today," and Haiji's just kind of like, yeah. And I like that Haiji didn't double down on that.
Right.
That was kind of derisive. Like it was kind of making kind of like a so
well I wouldn't
I mean it can be taken that way.
Right.
And it's just quickly he's like, no, it's just it's you dealing with your own stuff. I got you.
Yeah.
But
right, it's the idea that it's the acknowledgement from Kakeru subconsciously, that oh yeah, I wasn't actually giving a good look before, right? I was focused on myself. But then I did, and okay, there are some things that need to be, I can come up with concrete things that need to be improved and worked on, rather than just your time needs to be better.
Yeah.
So
God, like is so good. And now here we are in a like a turn of the page. Basically, we've turned a new chapter, a new volume where now Kakeru is willing to put himself out there. Doesn't care as much about the speed of everything here. He knows what he's capable of.
Oh yeah.
But Prince is a serious problem if they're going to compete in Hakone Ekiden.
Yep.
He needs to not only have his form down, but he needs to have time spent practicing running in that form so that he can comfortably push his muscles actually to their limit. Because this is the part that I think that they're kind of doing for the sake of hamming up the specific visuals and stuff, is that he's actually running not that slow. Like, he's not actually running that slow. His times don't match up with the visuals of him running, really.
Right.
But
30 minutes for 3 miles, that's still a 10-minute mile. That's,
That's...
Yeah. That's really good.
So, therefore, if he's actually able to push himself to his limits based on that form, he could get another 20%, speed increase just like that.
Yeah.
Like, not even really, like, with much extra training.
Right, because one of the things that, while Prince does have the disadvantage of not having much muscle on his body, so his endurance is low, he can't really push himself that fast, he's small.
Which means has a couple advantages.
That the muscle that you do add is going to mean a hell of a lot more because there's not as much to move, right? Like, there you go.
Yeah, I have seen what I would call the wiry frame on a lot of runners where you see them and you go, "Oh, you're a fast runner?" And they go, "Yeah, I'm pretty fast." And you go like, "But like, how fast are you really?" Because they're not tall.
Right.
They're not like muscly.
Right. So it's like your legs are shorter, therefore it would make sense that you would be slower. Yes.
And doom, they just go, and you're just like, "What?
Yeah.
What?" And like that is something to where you cannot underestimate what the dedication and focused time on a specific skill like running it can accomplish. But have that in combination with a decent coach that guides you in ways in how to get more muscle mass, you can skyrocket your speed to where I almost want to put this out here as an idea, but there are a couple ways in which he might end up actually overcoming the speed of someone like King, for instance.
Potentially, yeah, because King is definitely thicker. Yeah.
King is thicker, is around the same height. Maybe he's a little taller, but in some ways he actually probably has the most negatives about his just inherent form and frame.
Other than probably Nico.
Although
Nico, a lot of it's also just the smoking in the past.
Nico's is his age and his smoking. But other than that, like Prince could actually post a good time if he focuses on this form with good, just fundamentals attached to that from the training that he gets from Haiji and Kakeru. Like that's like very possible.
Yeah.
So this was huge. This was huge not only in my mind as kind of trying to understand where Kakeru's coming from in that yes, Prince cannot actually be on the team if he wants to stay running in this way. And they addressed it all in one episode.
Yep.
And it was in a way that made sense not only for Prince's character, but for Kakeru's character.
And then
the moment at the end with that just...
Like, the whole... Once they went into, all right, now we're doing Prince focus for this, I was just like, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, Prince was already kind of like, I think, my favorite character in the show, because I was like, I want to see his
Yeah.
underdog journey and all that stuff and whatnot.
Easy top 3 or 4 for me. I can't put anyone above Haiji.
Above Haiji, yeah, no, I get that. I
Haiji's-
totally get that.
Yeah.
But that part, and this is again something I love because it's communication without dialogue, and it's bringing something up from a previous episode. So it's rewarding even more paying attention. You know,
which part specifically?
the part where they turn the page at the same time.
Yeah.
That was like, yeah.
That's
Like, and even
good
the
stuff
whole
right
idea
there.
that when he was like, oh, hey, do you have any comics you'd recommend? I really like that Prince was like, you okay with romance? Because okay, I could see him being like, I'll do something sort of normie friendly or whatever, but it's like, no. He's actually putting the foot forward to be like, hey, I want to connect with you on this.
And I'm going to share with them some of my favorite stuff.
Some of my favorite stuff, even if it's the stuff that, like, probably growing up he would have gotten the most kind of flack for, essentially, of like, like a romance story or something like that, But he's like, no, check this out.
Check this stuff out, man.
This is good stuff. Yeah. So I just, I
freaking love the family dynamic.
Oh, it's so good.
And as we get more and more into the goofier parts as well,
the cooking and the
that's wholesome. It's goofy. It's wonderful. But it makes me really appreciate the quiet moments where we have Kakeru and Haiji sitting on a bench, just kind of talking about the whole thing. Because there's so many times I've been in that situation where it's either the team or the family or the whatever, and you're just kind of talking with the person who's just put so much effort into making it work, and you realize the parts in where you've been kind of holding it back, but you kind of feel called up to take your place and do something that ends up helping the group as well, and also letting go of that part that's been holding the group back. And just the way they kind of look at you and just kind of smile, and they're like, all right, let's go. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about right there. That's why Haiji is my favorite character, like hands down, because when he's on screen, you can tell that this guy has honed so much of his life around the idea that he can like set up a group to do this. But I still remember back to the time where he bumped into Kakeru in this serendipitous encounter. It was just like,
you like running?
Do you like running? Like, yeah. Like that kind of puppy dog like excitement and passion is something that just, it's infectious. I mean,
your spirit animal is definitely the dog.
Definitely the golden retriever. Yeah. Just So, Haiji, I'm so glad that it was just over exhaustion. I am still going to be watching you a little bit closely because there's a possibility that it could be a recurring thing if it's something where the rest of the group still doesn't really adjust too much.
Right, because they brought up things like, oh, that's right, he was doing the cooking, but he was also doing
organizing the meats.
Organizing the meats, doing all the clerical work and things like that. And like the fact that it keeps track of everyone's times and the practices and nutritional, like that's a lot.
It's a bit too much.
Like you could easily have one person who does the nutritional info and one person who does the cooking and then one person who does the management of the tests
should
and such.
Probably just do the cooking.
Yeah.
That's about it. Kakeru can set up the clerical stuff.
Sure.
Like actually that's actually the thing that Kakeru I was thinking was going to take over. He was like, he's like, I've been in this environment for a long time. But they're probably going to give that to Nico-chan.
Yeah, and
like Nico-chan is one who did do running stuff, in the past, so he can just do that.
Yeah, he knows the mechanics of it and whatnot. And as far as even the shopping, he could just be like, the JoJo,
the Joji twin, Joji and JoJo.
Right. They can handle that, as long as they're not trying to cook anything. Well,
no, actually, they're kind of. In some ways, they're that member of the JoJo squad. Where it's just like, no, you guys just focus on being fast. Like that's all you guys to focus on.
The fact that
Yuki, you can do the shopping.
Sure, he would definitely.
You're
know how
like
to do it.
Mechanical. You'd probably do it efficiently,
mechanical, responsible.
You'd save money.
Oh, definitely.
Like you're the lawyer. You'd practically also get in there and
I just got to point out. Daga Kotowaru.
Daga Kotowaru, because the fact that once Yuki said it, I was like, is that? And then Prince was like,
you don't know Daga Kotowaru?
Immediately on a, is that a? And I thought that's where they would end it. I thought that's where they would end it because anyone in the know knows exactly what Prince was alluding to, right? Like we're not like we know what he was meaning there.
But then they go into the changed drawing and everything.
But I refuse. That was probably one of like the best way that, like dumb Easter eggs.
The fact that Yuki did like the glasses push at the same time, and the look on Prince's face of just like.
He's like, have I found a kindred spirit hidden amongst the weeds here?
Yeah.
Shall I rise up this shoot, and we shall become glorious ones that stand atop the world?
We will stand up proud.
And yet, Yuki's like, what do you mean? What?
What
are you talking about? And then he literally like shifts all the way over to this side of the house here. Like the fact that he literally like moved all the way there.
Is that... Yeah, what are you doing? You mean you don't know about, but I refuse. And he's literally
like, he's sitting down in the pose that Rohan had, just going all the way in it, and then he's asking one of the JoJo twins about it.
Yeah, like, yep.
And he just completely brush it by as if it's nothing.
That was great.
I love it.
But,
yes, thank you, Joe. Thank you.
But again, I'll just say and this is harping a lot on one specific detail, but it's a very particular relationship that I have with a person when I'm like, okay, let's talk romance. Let's talk romance.
Yeah.
I got something that'll make you cry like a bitch. You know, you interested? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
hell
that's,
yeah, brother.
Like that, because, you know, I know that for a lot of people, it's like they need to have the fighting and the action and all that stuff if they're going to touch anime at all. I respect that.
We all start there.
Well, you know,
a lot of us
start there, and if you end there, that's totally fine.
I'm not saying they don't end there. I'm just saying that.
But
a lot of us guys start. You know,
there. Like.
But I got the goods. You know, if you're wanting to go and explore a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. And in some ways, this channel has been that for me. So I very much appreciate the last 4 years of exploration that this has been, and. Still more to come. So, Oh my God, this was
a great episode.
This was so powerful, and I really just want to emphasize, Kakeru. I feel like for those of us that have been in this type of dynamic, I think everyone has been, if they've been in this kind of a sports team dynamic and stuff like that, they understand when they were Kakeru.
Even if it wasn't even in sports, like just as a, not to take away from what you're saying, but just to like. Yeah.
I'm just saying that in a sports dynamic, the competitive aspect can very easily overcome the opportunities that you have to build something beyond the actual sport. To quote Suki from Haikyuu, this is just a club, right? This is just a club.
It's like, well,
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, man.
Yep.
And I loved the way they did their own version of this type of, development in Haikyuu. But what they're doing right here with Kakeru is way stronger for me because you can see that it is a serious focus of emotional trauma for him, what he went through in that hyper-competitive, cutthroat environment in the past, to the point that Haiji made a point of saying that, like, no one's going to yell at you in this environment here. Like, that was something he needed to say.
At the beginning.
And now here, we're getting to this point that Kakeru, who's been the one yelling at people, not that often, but coming really close to at times, or at the very least going to Haiji and kind of bickering, complaining to him of like, this isn't working out as well.
Yeah,
I totally have been there, and it's something that is very hard to shift out of if you don't have the will to do it yourself, or at the very least you don't have the equivalent of a Haiji who's willing to be patient with you as you transition out of it, because it is not a snap and you're out of it.
Right.
Even if you have your senpai, collapse under overwork. And suddenly
they still needed Nico-chan to step in and be like, hey, cut it out.
Yeah. And it still doesn't have to be entirely over here.
Right.
He's not necessarily going to be the best leader or jovial or super encouraging to everyone all the time because this happened.
But he's aware of it. He's putting in the effort, and he's on the
building.
process, which is that's the biggest thing.
He's adjusted his form, if you
Right.
will.
And I love that the way that this is being set up is it's a growth for Kakeru. You know, he's growing as a person.
Yep.
But oftentimes I feel like character growth is just shown as character growth. And then it's like, okay, that's cool, right? But how into it can I really get? But when it's character growth that is also healing.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Oh.
That's when I'm like, give me more. Give me more. That's good shit.
What's like, the image of the just like that's what that is.
Right.
The character growth is also character healing. It's
or when the character growth and healing hit like, just right.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good.
Yeah.
These hills sing. So that settles it. Thank you all very much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, we stream every weekday. Info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.